What's poppin', y'all? This is Deidre with One Shot Game, man. You already know how the motto go. You get one shot at life, but a lifetime to learn all the game you need to help improve your life. The choice is yours on which route you choose to take. Now, as I always say, you get two choices. The ability to faithfully settle in the life that has been set out for you, or the ability to pave a path toward your destiny. That choice is also up to you. So before I get into the title of my video, I want to say a big shout out to all my supporters. You guys are great, and even the ones behind the scenes, I see y'all too. So hey, look, it took me a little minute to come to terms with making this video, because you know, when you speak the truth, oftentimes people energetically try to prevent that, especially if they're putting on a facade. But the topic of this video, I wanted to help y'all understand a little more in case you don't understand it, is the fact that I don't know if you guys ever was into like the Twilight series, you know what I'm saying, which is Edward the vampire and Bella, like, you know, the square person, and they fell in love with each other. But for whatever reason, Edward's family didn't like Bella, because of the simple fact there was certain people in Edward's family that wanted to find someone like Bella for themselves, or find someone like Edward for themselves, so that they can sail off into, you know, the world with the happy family, you know, the lifestyle that they want to live. Sometimes we get trapped into these family cults where they operate a certain way. So when someone comes in and this person may be able to energetically attract love, and you know what I'm saying, and genuine compassion and success, the main culprit of that cult, family cult, oftentimes becomes jealous of that person and automatically does not like the person that, you know what I'm saying, they're in love with. It's something that has been going on for centuries and years, but I don't think people really understand the background of it. They don't really get in details in the movie, but the books are a little bit more detailed. And if you think about life in general, oftentimes a lot of the movies we watch growing up were basically real events in life, but truly and honestly, energetically, it wasn't time yet for us to know the full truth, because if we were to expose the full truth to the world, we would have been condemned, if not, you know what I'm saying, talked our demise into fruition, because it wasn't ready to understand. So now that the world is shifting in a certain planetary alignment, it's now able to accept that energy where people are able to speak the truth and be honest. So for me, I don't know how to, you know what I'm saying, manipulate and finesse. Maybe in my past life, but not now currently, because what I learned is that if I want to be able to shift my energy out of feeling emotionally drained when someone tried to manipulate me or finesse me, I had to step out of that and completely not do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't like the way that it made me feel when somebody did it to me. You know, so going back years and years and years and years, there were certain ways that the world had to be. And I truly believe that the people that were most vulnerable in the world were the ones that were hunted by the people who had a certain mission in life, so that they can capture the one that was most vulnerable and convert them to be able to contain and be in their cult, and it will become extremely powerful. So I truly believe that it was men who operated in a way where they had no feelings, you know what I'm saying? They finessed and manipulated their way out of everything. And if you came across, you know, for instance, say if it's other men who target other men, it's because those men have some, I would say, feminine traits inside of them. Like for instance, I think it wasn't widely accepted for a man to be able to cook. That was something that was supposed to be led to the woman. So if a man came across another man who enjoyed cooking, he was basically targeted and hunted and shifted into a world where those certain things were not okay for men, and he was only able to do things that men did. And I'll say, for example, just in my life, you know, My younger brother, that nigga, I'm telling you, we both started smoking weed at the same time. So he would get in the kitchen and he would cook. He would bake cookies. He taught me how to make a juicy steak by putting your steak in aluminum foil and putting the seasons on it. I'm not gonna give y'all that recipe, and putting it in the oven. The steak be dumb juicy. You know what I'm saying? He like could really cook. And you know, I feel as if men who were targeted for doing womanly duties also often targeted other, you know what I'm saying, men who did womanly duties, and they became easily acceptable, I believe, to gang up with their gangs or their crimes. You know what I'm saying? That those are the easiest ones they targeted. You feel me? Because they were oftentimes not raised by the father, but raised by a woman, and they did women things, and that wasn't acceptable, I guess, in the men's way of living. For instance, for me personally, I believe it can go both ways, because energy is gender fluid. And I say that from my own experiences of being in situationships with women who basically were operating out of their masculine energy. You know what I'm saying? It had nothing to do with gender. They just were completely taken away from being able to display their soft side. And if they did, it wouldn't last for too long, or it was only used to get something from somebody else, especially one that they felt as a target. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes these women were molested or taken over by men who had those same set of traits, and it became so to the point that they became possessive, and they often hunted other women that, you know what I'm saying, they feel as if they can trick into believing that they're really for them, to click up with them and give them all the success and all that and the money and stuff that they deserve, even though it wasn't genuine. It wasn't going to be an even exchange of I really care about you. It was going to be I need you to benefit me. So if you really take gender out of it and you think in terms of energy, that energy has been around for so long, which is the energy of not being able to truly be yourself, but of me saying and doing the right things to acquire somebody to be able to fit in my stable. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because it has been going on for so long that I don't even think people realize how contagious it could be. You know, for like, just speaking from my own experience, I grew up thinking that, like, you know what I'm saying, as long as a person say the right things, finesse you, they really like you for real. But then I had to learn my life lesson of my life, which is realizing that just because a person says that to you, says all the right things, does all the right things, gets to know you, doesn't mean they're really for you. They could just be getting to know you and studying you so they can know what to do to keep you around. But the moment you tip the scales and they can no longer manipulate and finesse you into doing what they want you to do, you know what I'm saying, they feel you is no longer valuable at that point, because they were never in it to truly care about you. They were only in it to manipulate you for your own gain, for their own gain. You know what I'm saying? Because they are people that have been converted over due to them not truly knowing who you are. And now the real true energy of the world that's coming into fruition, the more that people wake up to the truth, is the ability to know who you truly are for real. But it's like, where I'm at, it's the battle of both sides. You have people who are still asleep and they're trying to get anybody they can to convert back to the side that's easiest for them. And then there are people that are also waking up, you know what I'm saying, that are having to go on these missions where they encounter people, but they're not really afraid of them. It's just like they're self-conscious and aware, because there are people that only want to hunt them to be able to help them be able to stay in that energy that they've been in their whole life, especially if you have a past. So you got to be aware and be mindful. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you right now, oftentimes these hunters, they're easily triggered, they're emotionally unstable, they're toxic, they want to argue, and they will target anybody that they can to be able to feel like their actions are justifiable, which is crazy and insane. So you really have to get to a space where you know yourself to be able to protect yourself away from that. Because if you get sucked in, you will find yourself being drained while they run and take everything they got from you and give it to someone else. You know what I'm saying? It's a toxic contraption, because it's like, it's based off energy. You know what I'm saying? And if you really want to put it into logical human terms where it's understandable, then you can kind of see where that kind of ideal has been running with it for a long time. Like, for instance, Twilight got the saga and the new moon and da-da-da. I think what people fail to understand is that a woman, when she becomes a certain age, some of them will have a cycle that aligns with the moon. You know what I'm saying? And usually, oftentimes, those let the hunters know who's to be hunted. You feel me? It's crazy, but it's things that weren't put into the public, because then people would be aware and the lies wouldn't flow so easy. You know what I'm saying? You just got to think of how we've been living in a world where manipulation ran so easily that a lot of people were often tricked and put into positions where they couldn't get out of. For example, I don't have an issue because it don't bother me, but there are certain situations where I go in the public and I see, like, maybe energetically, you know what I'm saying, a woman may be looking my way. You feel me? She don't know nothing about me. She don't know what I'm on, but she'll have a man that is toxic, and he'll do whatever he can to push her away from me. And I truly believe that's because if she was to wake up to who she truly was, she would discover herself and possibly leave him on his own. And a lot of times it is harder for men to change and grow. If you didn't realize, women are a little bit more mature than men, so when they have to get to a space where they have to focus on themselves and grow, that's hard. They'd rather just not deal with it. You know what I'm saying? They won't even talk to nobody that's trying to push them into growing, because that's just not something they're ready to process yet. You know what I'm saying? But a woman has that feminine side of her that basically knows how to operate it, but if you don't know how to control it and use it for your own benefit, you'll usually end up dishing it out to other people, and not in the right terms. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, in my past life, I wouldn't call myself a hunter. I call myself the being hunted. But now that I'm older and I know that, you know what I'm saying, everybody has a life purpose, I now consider myself a hunter. And what I mean by that is I hunt out any woman that I may feel is, you know, in an abusive situation, that's in a situation where she is tied to energetically to a masculine male that does not really care about her, but only is tied to her because of the emotional security he feels. And you can see it in a woman's eyes, especially if she's struggling and having a hard time and she's taking care of kids by herself. You know what I'm saying? And she's really yelling and, you know what I'm saying, giving the kids a hard time because she's still tied to that masculine energy. And that masculine energy, oftentimes, he only controls himself. He does not care about the kids. He just uses the kids as a pawn because he can have infinity attachment to the woman. And that causes extra stress when they were no longer compatible to begin with, but now they're stuck together and every day they're arguing. If it's somebody who's really for you, there wouldn't be arguments. You know what I'm saying? But again, you got to realize and pay attention to yourself, because once you open the gates to who you truly are, you'll be able to take it slow and be not so quick to attach to other energy so fast, because sometimes when you do that, you're only attaching to the honeymoon phase in the beginning. You feel me? But as time goes on, you notice that the arguments start to get more and more worse. That's because you never got the time to actually know the person. You just attached to the honeymoon phase. You know what I'm saying? And if they are a person or you are a person, this is gender fluid, has nothing to do with gender, are a person who basically uses people for your own gain, it won't be long before that relationship starts to not to work. So in order for people to successfully come together, they have to truly know who they are, which means I don't take nothing from you, you don't take nothing from me. It's not an obsession type of thing. It's more so like an equal give and take. You know what I'm saying? And some people really live in that and some people really don't. You feel me? So you got to look at the world we living in right now. It's the hunters who are having to change the game, who are afraid, and they're basically staying away from the ones that they can't hunt, but they'll go after anyone that's emotionally unavailable because they know how to manipulate and finesse emotions on a very high scale to where it have you actually thinking what you know. You know what I'm saying? When you're a person that's not toxic and you're even give and take and you're coming to a state of peace, it's not about arguing. It's about understanding that I'm me. I'm who I'm going to be. If you are possessive or controlling, you cannot come around me. You know what I'm saying? Because people that are like that are not meant to try to get to know you. They're only around because you have something that they want. And if you stay around long enough, it's going to get to a point where it's going to drain you because you'll know that it's possession and control. You know what I'm saying? When you're in something that's peaceful, it's not possession or controlling. You know what I'm saying? It's an equal give and take. And that means two people are going to have to get to a space to where they know who they are. You feel me? And trust me, we've been living in an era where that wasn't what we lived by. What we lived by was get money era. That's all that was the concern. Get money era and do drugs to cover up the pain and the arguments. You feel me? But it was just too chaotic of an era. And I'm now getting to the point where I understand why it was like that. Because the most important things that we were supposed to focus on were being ignored. You know what I'm saying? Under substances. And then the money on top of it made everybody seem like they was happy for a split second. And once that second was over, now we back stuck in a trap. Anything that feels good, we maxed high. And anything that disturbed us, we did everything we could to block it out until we get to a point in life where those remedies no longer work. And now you're stuck with this big ass gap emotionally of what the fuck do I do with all this in here? Which is potentially destroying your life. You feel me? And listen, it's harder to get out of the emotional trap than people think it is. And it goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? But if you're more in touch with your emotions and you're more of a sensitive person, it's a lot harder to get out. You know what I'm saying? It's almost as if this world was designed to be hardcore and rough, and you know what I'm saying? If I have authority and power over you and you're sensitive, I'm gonna automatically threaten you, or you know what I'm saying, make me feel inferior, and that's gonna cut out all that sensitive shit. You gonna immediately do what I say. You know what I'm saying? I got you under my control, and now I dominate you. I get to know you a little bit. I get to know the things that make you feel good, and I do that just to keep you wrapped in. But if the moment you make me become aware of my controlling, possessive behavior, I no longer want to be able to accept that, or the things I need to change, or the part I need to play. You know what I'm saying? There is no gender roles in life in general. And I say that to say, like, if I could take out the trash, you could take out the trash. If I could cook, you could cook. You feel me? If you can get the kids ready, I can get the kids ready. You know what I'm saying? Equal give and take. It shouldn't just be women do one thing and male do one thing. You feel me? And in the past, in the era we grew up in, it should be equal, but it's not. It was more so gravitating towards the male side, which is money, 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 money. As long as I make the money, I'm in control. I tell everybody what to do. Everybody follow my command. But now, since that era, it made a lot of people toxic. People don't even know how to be in relationships because people don't know themselves, because they were never given the chance to know themselves. They were under somebody else's possession and control. Now it's about being a protector and being emotionally supportive. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you have to be able to contribute in a way where you actually care about somebody, not because it's solely about you. But again, that's the fight we fighting right now. And I'm telling you, if you know who you are, do your best to protect your energy, because they'll do anything they can to try to attack you from all angles. They'll set you up, they'll backdoor you. You know what I'm saying? They'll find any angle that they can come in so that they won't have to feel as if, you know what I'm saying, they just giving up in the fight. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? I get it. But you got to be strong enough to fight that battle. If not, you're going to give in. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna, but in the long run, or if not in the beginning, you're gonna see the toxicness right offhand, because the new world is not meant for that. The new world is not meant for people to be arguing and fighting, you know what I'm saying, and just about money. Like, and so right off the back, you're gonna see the toxicness firsthand. And if you are not someone that can process your emotions, it's gonna get bad. You know what I'm saying? So I feel as if it's best if you just hold off and get to know yourself first. You know what I'm saying? So therefore you can know what you want. A lot of people are going through it where they're, you know what I'm saying, completely not engaging in nothing, because they taking the time to get to know themselves. And then there's also a lot of people having babies that are stuck in these toxic relationships, you know what I'm saying, with people that are not good for them, but they stay together for the child. And in the end, listen, you're gonna wake up every day miserable. I refuse. Ain't no sex good enough to where I gotta wake up every day miserable. You tripping. You know what I'm saying? You could do bad by yourself. So for the people that don't understand really what's going on, because maybe you are immune to actually doing the work, because you have been put in a state of mind where the manipulating and the finesse worked for so long, you never thought that you would have to change your plan. But it's getting to a point where the spirit of Jesus is knocking all your towers down, so that you can be able to see how that's not working anymore. And sometimes it makes people so upset that they just cannot give up without a fight. They'll attack you in every way possible, in ways that you don't even think, because they'll group up other people to come along and attack you the same. And none of those people will feel bad, because again, it's spiritual, not personal. They're spiritually under control of someone that dominates their life, until they start to realize it's not a person that you fighting, but it's the system that's falling down and crumbling. It's a new world order. So if you keep continuing to try to target somebody because you think it's them because you're blind, that system is going to keep falling on your head until you wake up. And once you wake up, you start to realize it's a whole new world. But it's going to get you to a place where you're at peace within yourself. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve right now, because I grew up in such a toxic era. Now, I'm not going to say we didn't have fun. And I think the reason why we had fun the most is because everybody was always intoxicated. As long as we was faded, nobody had any issues with nothing. As long as we had some money and we had on the flyest gear, nobody had any issues with nothing. And anything that was started or went on, you feel me, it was like, drink the bottle, or you feel me, smoke some weed, or if y'all in a relationship, you feel me, you go hump on her or him, and then everybody be quiet. But that only lasts for so long. You know what I'm saying? We in a new era now. It's about more than that, you know? So again, be careful and be mindful. Some people are having a harder time with the adjustment, and they only tend to be very attracted to the people that are changing and growing, but at the same time, it's not to actually really truly know them. It's to make their toxicness and their issues be able to be blamed onto someone else, because it's hard to look at themselves. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to take that treatment, then be my guest. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be like how it was in the past. You're not going to be able to take it and take it and take it and take it and take it. It's going to be short-lived. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to get to the point where you're going to start having body aches. You're going to start getting sick. You're going to start, you feel me, waking up, having an attitude. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take away all your joy and all your peace. And I think we're trying to push into a state where we can enjoy joy and peace. Because, listen, I grew up in an era where, on the backside of the having fun and being intoxicated, niggas was toxic as fuck. They can't even lie. You feel me? But we covered it up so good, nobody ever knew. But then again, if you was watching and paying attention, it was there. It was there. You seen it. We had the Jerry Springer show, the Maury show, all them shows, toxic as hell. Wasn't nobody happy. It was just, you feel me, doing whatever. And then everybody wants to have their perfect love story. But if you don't know yourself, how will you ever find it? It will just be an obsession. You know what I'm saying? Of being with someone that you know is gonna love you and put up with your shit, even though you know that the things you be doing ain't necessarily good. But you'll be damned if you have someone try to tell you about it. So maybe why you don't be by yourself until you figure that out. And therefore you can go down your own journey, and the universe will give you signs letting you know that ain't cool. You can't keep doing that. You feel me? And eventually you'll stop. But why get into a situationship with somebody and ruin their life simply because you're not ready to change? That's obsession. That's control. That's not love. You know what I'm saying? And it can drain a person if you don't know the difference between the two. Now, again, you got to be aware and realize it's always going to be that battle. But you don't have to accept it. You can stand up against it, but you can't be no punk, though. You feel me? You got to take everything you learn from being strong in life and now use it in a way where it protects you. Not in a way where you're trying to steal somebody else's position or steal somebody else's spot. That's not the case. You feel me? I'm still 100% me. And for anybody out there suffering or going through a crisis, be yourself first and foremost. But that masculine energy, if you don't know how to operate and control it, it will take over you and completely dim out your feminine side. You know what I'm saying? And if you're too feminine, it will completely take out your masculine side. You got to have an equal balance of both. Doesn't have anything to do with your physical reality, because I'm not judging anybody. It has everything to do with your mental state, with your body becoming one with itself, not teeter-tottering into one or more energies higher than it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you get to a space where you love yourself, you don't care. People are always going to say whatever about somebody else and comment on somebody else's life, especially when they're unhappy with their own. You know what I'm saying? You got to get to a space where you just don't care. But when you get to a balance in your life where your energy is aligned, you will notice that, you know what I'm saying, in this new era, men and women, you feel me, like to be around you simply because you have that equal balance. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's been hard. It's been rough years of my life. All the women didn't necessarily get along with each other. You feel me? Men were quick to fight or kill other men. You feel me? The relationships were toxic. The kids grew up, they don't know who they is. You feel me? And the train just keeps going on and on and on. I think now is the time we put a stop to it. And the only way that you can really truly put a stop to it is you have to know yourself. And it's a lot deeper on a spiritual level. But if you are truly in love with somebody that is good for you and y'all good for each other, sometimes you have to break out of the cult of your family, simply because there'll be people in your family that are jealous of what you have because they've always wanted it, but they couldn't break out of the manipulation of their mind to want somebody good. You know what I'm saying? They thought they either had to be single or everybody was trying to possess and control them. Hey, and you start to see the results of that thinking. It's dangerous right now, though. The spirit of Jesus Christ is calling judgment on everybody. You feel me? So before you judge somebody else, judge yourself first. You know what I'm saying? And really get down to changing some of the things that no longer work for this world if you're looking to be in a space where you want to be happy. And sometimes people are happy alone, and sometimes people want to be in relationships, they just don't know how. You know what I'm saying? But I really truly believe don't nobody want to be by themselves. You know what I'm saying? It gets boring. It gets lonely. They made us actually believe that, but I don't believe it to be true. I believe everybody wants to find love, men and women. You know what I'm saying? But if we don't love ourselves, then that's hard to find. We just find ourselves hopping from person to person. You know what I'm saying? Never really settling down, because it gets to a point where the energies don't match. And now we ain't aligned, and now we bickering and fighting all the time. But it started off good in the beginning, right? Because there's a certain set of lessons in the beginning that we completely skipped over and just jumped right into intercourse, and now we attracted to a person energetically that's not a match for us. You know what I'm saying? They don't align with our goals. They don't see life how we see it, and then the kids get caught in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And it just causes, and then you got to go to court, they get caught in it, and then it's a bunch of everybody just saying everything. It's chaotic. and it costs too much money. You know what I'm saying? So listen, just be be mindful of growing and protecting your own energy and what it looks like for you. If a person is not aligning with you and you loving yourself and giving people the space to do the same, because once you get to a space where you love yourself, there's not going to be no arguments. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how to be me. I don't gotta be up under you. I don't gotta control you. I don't gotta worry about what you're doing, because you gonna want me for me, because you know the moment I leave, you gonna give up something that was good for you, or vice versa. So why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Which means you're gonna automatically do right. I shouldn't have to be on you with like a leash. You feel me? But growing up in the era I grew up in, we thought that that was love. You know? But it's not. So there are a lot of people that are having a hard time looking at themselves, and so they're attaching to anything that they can until they come across someone that don't know themselves, and then now it's just a chaotic, energetic mess. And you'd rather be by yourself, but you're attracting people, or you want to be in love, but it's too chaotic and energetically. That means it's time you work on you. You know what I'm saying? The fight is hard. The battle is long. But I'd rather be able to be with someone that I know I want to do a life commitment with than someone that we only attracted to each other on the surface, and in about 2 to 3 months we're going to be arguing and fighting and bickering. Listen, I grew up in an era where we busting tires, we busting windows, you feel me? We tearing shit up. Listen, no, we're not doing that no more. You feel me? Listen, to be able to get to a space where you have those things, you don't want nobody breaking it, because that shit costs and add up. You know what I'm saying? So why even put yourself in a space with someone like that? But again, be mindful and aware that people who are toxic, they wasn't easy to hide like in the past. It was easy to hide because they would say the things that finessed your soul. So by the time you realize who they really were, you had already got sucked in, and it's harder to leave. But in this new world, the toxicness is going to be shown right away. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see the signs. Just don't miss them. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know yourself, you will miss them. But if you know yourself enough to know what you won't tolerate and what you will, you'll see the signs. You know what I'm saying? And listen, they're so manipulative. They'll convince you of every reason why you need to stay. And you need to convince yourself of every reason why you need to go. Because it won't work. And don't be trying to trick your mind into thinking it will. You know what I'm saying? Red flags will always be red. Period. You feel me? So again, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not. And so just understand and realize and know we're in an era now where love is in the air. Peace is in the air. But if you don't know yourself, there are people that are morphing into what they think people like, but really are truly not good people behind the scenes. And if they are able to attract to you, they're going to study you and know what you like. And by the time you realize who they truly are, you're going to be sucked in too far. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Take the time to get to know someone for real, especially before you put out. You know what I'm saying? So listen, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe.